everyone. Hey, JJ, how are you? Just checking before folks join. Are you able to start recording for this, JJ, when we begin? Do you have a demand for that?
It's already recording.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure. Yeah. And you are keying us off, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you taking notes or should I?
So no, I actually have to disappear as soon as I've done my thing. And the transcription is working though.
Okay, that's fine. I can do that. No worries. Right, just wait for folks to come. It's always funny to see how many note takers join the call, right? We still have more humans than note takers, though. Everyone, we're just waiting for folks to join. We're starting a little bit. Okay, I think we can get started. JJ, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the call. I want to go ahead and welcome everyone. My name is JJ Asgar. I'm one of the community architects of this project. Just a reminder to everyone, there is a code of conduct for this community. And being part of this meeting, that means you agreed to follow it. There is a link there, as Carlos has put up on the chat, the meeting notes right there. By the way, I added the cursor parking. I'm an old graybeard. If you ever used Etherpad back in the day, you know what that is. I thought that was fun. Anyway, if you haven't already, please go ahead and join the Slack workspace. It is a place for us to do the asynchronous communication and work with that. Also, if you have not joined the llm-d contributor Google group, please go ahead and do that. That link is at the top there also. I want to mention that we do have the community team at community team on the Slack also. So if you join and you're looking for a community architect to ping, that is probably the easiest way to get a hold of us right now. Instead of going individually, it'll get to one of the three that we have. Also, when we have the survey that is closing on Friday, July 11th. I can't speak. I'm so sorry. Please, if you can get someone to, if you haven't filled it out, please do beforehand. We only have 2 more days left on that. We already have some great responses, which is great, but we always can use more. And finally, we need to start documenting the SIG owners. We have an opportunity to start giving the SIG owners admin rights to the meetings through our Google group. But in order to do that, we need to know the different SIG owners and their Google addresses. We are going to be centralizing this all onto a document on the community page. But please, if you are a SIG owner, reach out to the community team so we can start collecting all this information in one location. I believe that's it, Carlos.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, JJ. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So we'll move on to open forum. As usual, I would like to spend a few minutes with a quick update on the upcoming release. This project continues to move very fast. We are now getting ready for our second release. We talked about this last time. So now there is a release tracker. You guys can take a look. Basically, of course, tracking what is coming. And I just put in here a quick summary of the big items, right? Of course, there'll be a new blog. This one includes some update on benchmarking, some of the lessons learned. I think we learned a lot about some of the user patterns, of course, initial reaction, and an update on the well-lit paths, especially on the PD scenarios. And also community in an ecosystem update. A lot of folks engage, many of them are here in this call. So we also want to tell the world how we engage with other communities from the llm to Dynamo and others. So this will also be part of what we do in the upcoming release. In terms of features, as we discussed, there'll be improved llm-d UX. Greg will talk a little bit about this when you do the updates, but we are learning more about our user, right? And you're seeing an interesting spectrum. There are users that want some kind, I don't know, guided or pioneered quick start, which we provided in our first release. We also see some users that they have an existing environment, or they are very familiar, like how you deploy some of these components, so they want some more of like a decomposable experience, right? Which will be providing at least the initial version of this in the upcoming release. So this is in a response again to feedback and how users are responding. Feel free to also to leave your feedback, but this is something that we thought would be very important, and we'll continue to talk about this in this call. And we'll have the PD desire well-lit path, right? So there were some caps that we closed for this release. So this will be a very central core feature, and that also includes multi-model EP, DP, MOE support. This took a lot, as you guys know, and a lot of the issues we've been talking about in this call. So I'm very happy that these features are coming. There is also improved benchmarking suite. We will talk about this also in a little bit. You get an update from Marcio, and also improved extensibility for the scheduler. We've been, of course, talking about this throughout, so that's a big one. It makes it easier to engage others, right? So we really want llm-d to be also an experimentation platform for others to develop new things and extend, right? So making that easier, it's a big design principle, as you guys know, and making this not only reality, but make it even simpler to extend. So this is also something that is coming. So this is more like a shout out, release tracker, it's there. So we are filling up some of the details, and this is coming very soon now in 10 days-ish. And we're excited to bump the release. Of course, this is just like one more. We could continue with the cadence, and even like minor releases is something that we are also considering. And again, this is the forum you guys can chime in and share feedback. That's for the release update. Any question, comments before we move on? Okay. Sally, on SIG observability kickoff? I think you're mute, Sally. I cannot hear you. I'll go to Maroon and come back to you if you don't mind. Okay. Very good. Maroon?
Yes, I wanted to raise two topics here. It was actually raised during the bug debugging in the Slack channel. So right now we have the maintenance of the llm-d image that is basically the VLM wrapper inside the main repo, the main llm-d repo. That image currently uses a VLM fork that just keeps up with upstream. It's not a real fork, and it uses LM cache fork based on that has some non-upstreamed work that will soon be deprecated when we update the llm-d KB cache. So the point here is whether it makes sense to separate the main LM or the maintenance of the llm-d image from the main repo to make it more flexible to change. Because, for example, once we change the image, we'd have to cut a new tag. A new tag in the main repo might confuse people, and we'd want it to be updated more frequently, perhaps, especially once we move to once we want to upstream field lab.
Yeah, good point, Maroon. I want to hear maybe from Greg and Brent first before I share my opinion on this one.
I'm not entirely sure. What I can say is that based on the discussion we had yesterday, there were some other teams approaching us about wanting to assist in the build processes. And they suggested onboarding to Conflux for builds and make those public to everyone so people can collaborate there. These are some people from the OpenShift AI team who are looking to try and get involved in the upstream and help out in whatever way. This seems like it would be a good opportunity for us to interface with them and try and work towards that migration to upstream VLM and kind of have them help us rethink our build processes and how we update these images. That's it for me.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. So Maroon, I think we should discuss this separate forum. Just to, I think it would be good as a comment to understand like pros and cons here. It does make sense to me as long as we have the right team, generally speaking, right? Assigned to this. It looks like we can use some help from a new group from Red Hat. Of course, more than welcome to help. We just need to, again, understand the implications. I like that. I just not sure about the downsides here. So I don't know if anyone see a problem with that. We can follow up offline as well, but if you do, feel free to chime in here. Okay. Back to Sally, if you can hear you now.
Yeah, forgot my headphones. Sorry. Yeah, we'll start to have SIG observability meetings weekly Thursdays at 11:30. Unless that time is terrible, then we can talk about it. There are already a lot of things to discuss. Lots of discussions on Slack and issues opened around observability. So I think it's important that we all get together and start meeting on them.
Sounds good. So that will be on the calendar. And again, I'll just make a point on observability. This is something that seems to be of interest across the board. There's a lot of energy across a few teams. You want to harness and kind of funnel that energy in dedicated work stream. So we'll be picking that off, and Sally here will be leading that work stream. I think Sally's putting the invite for the SIG observability on the calendar. So everyone welcome to join and contribute that as well. We felt like it was time, and a very important piece, I think, Sally, is to make sure that we identify concrete target features for V03 coming out of observability, so we can continue to have a very clear roadmap, set the right expectations for the community, and be very crisp on like what are the goals for observability. So I think that that's what we can get as we kick off observability workstream, if that makes sense.
Yep, thanks. Yeah.
Great. Ernest, from all the service being deprecated, I don't know if you want to comment before the community here reacts.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ernest. Been lurking in the community for a while, and yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I noticed model service was deprecated and moved to HumChart. So, and I'll try to find a reason on GitHub and Slack, and just wondering why that's the case.
Okay. All right. Just checking Fisher is here. I don't think he is. I'll give you the context, and anyone involved with model service, feel free to chime in and add color, right? So the design principle for this project was like, let me make it very, very simple for someone starting without any kind, I don't know, previous experience or a lot of experience, right? And we made some assumptions, right? Things like, hey, a CRD to deploy models and all of that. and that was the original model service. Some of the feedback that we got was that for a lot of users, that would be just too much, right? That if you give me like a Helm chart, it's something that is less invasive, easier to kind of consume in some ways, and also something that would align more with some of the related communities. Because if you look at model service, especially like the initial version, is something that could compete with things like, I don't know, Kserve and other options, right? So the stated goal of llm-d is to be kind of agnostic to how you deploy your model, right? We had an opinion, which was like model service. You could use it or do your own way. But we realized that moving to Helm charts would simplify things a little bit and also help us to also align with other communities. So we got Kserve folks also involved. I see some people here that can comment in detail about that. So it's just like a path to engage other communities. And yeah, thanks, Watang, and feel free to chime in as well. So a way to just get closer to some related communities that are also very excited about llm-d, and also to kind of address some of the initial feedback in terms of CRD being too much. That's the reason. This is being actively like being involved, right? And as you know, it's incubation now, and there's a new version. And if you have feedback like why this was a bad decision, I'd love to hear. And if not, like if Helm is something that you also are interested, what is your feedback for the new version? Anyone wants to comment on this one? Great. Ernest, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're also making sort of like a Kubernetes operator to simplify VLLM deployment. And we're also looking into disaggregated serving.
Okay.
And I think llm-d has a lot of potential. And we're also looking into like integrating llm-d components into our stacks. So yeah, initially I thought our model service is also kind of competing with like Kserve and some other operators start doing the same thing. So wondering if there's any guideline on, like third-party Kubernetes operator handpicking like llm-d components to achieve disaggregated serving.
Yeah. So on this one, again, just to be clear, so we're trying not to kind of be very prescriptive for that. So meaning that, again, I mean, we want folks to have options. We started with some assumptions, but now we kind of make that change. So we're not prescribing anything, but understand that Kserve is something that we're trying to align. Again, decouple, but open to like to hear what are the other options that folks are interested. And I see Callan with the hand up. So Callan, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. Wondering what the what pain the operator is seeking to solve, and that requires kind of an active management.
It's an operator called Kaito, where we're aiming to simplify inference service deployment using CRD, so very similar to model service and Kserve, and with some additional features. And yeah, we're just looking into disaggregated serving versus co-locating prefill and decode, and trying to see if there's any way for us to work together. So it's still in very early phase and still exploring a lot of options. So, but I think llm-d has a lot of potential. Yeah.
So just to clarify, and then I see there's other hands, but the operator would assume that you would have a deployment for prefill, a deployment for decode, and it would kind of bind those two together so you don't have to manage multiple deployments. Is that a rough summary?
Yeah,
okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we're just co-locating prefill decode in a single deployment, so very similar to what we have right now. So yeah.
Okay. Abdul, go ahead.
Yeah, I just saw that someone posted the proposal why we changed model servers from CRD to Helm chart. Please take a look at that, just like in terms of like design principle. why we went that route.
Great. Thanks, Abdullah. Ernest, thanks a lot for actually coming here and sharing those things. Again, we can, if you have any public information about like your needs, how you guys design to operate, I think would be, of course, helpful if you can share. So we can also guide like or align with how we're seeing things and why we made these changes. And I think eventually would love to have you here contributing also in llm-d.
Thanks, everyone.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, so let's move. Is there any other topic for Open Forum before we move to SIG updates? Near?
Yeah. One topic that we discussed internally in the team in LLM Scheduler is end-to-end tests. So basically, each SIG probably is going to implement its own or already implemented its own end-to-end tests for the component. But do we want or do we think we need end-to-end tests for the whole system? Because eventually, you know, there are multiple parts that need to work together, and we might want to test them together. I don't mean like on every PR, not something that runs on every PR that might take forever, but maybe weekly, maybe nightly, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Matthew?
So the experience that the llm-d benchmarking is having, relying on llm-d deployed, which are like the other components, shows that we need a proper functional test end-to-end, and we need some sort of, I wouldn't say stress test, but at least something more than simply checking functionality tests, because those things are breaking because they're not being properly tested. So yes, we do need something like that, maybe daily across the board.
So, this one, I think this popped up many times. This is a very important need. We need as a community to, and Marcia, I think we need your help here, because we need something that's more like a performance C2E regression, right? That is testing something meaningful. We do have the building blocks, I think, to build something like that. That again goes beyond just functional tests per component, right? Can you, Marcia, take action on just like make a recommendation for what we could run frequently as the end-to-end regression task, and then folks can chime in whether or not this would be representative.
We need to discuss hardware. Okay, that's going to be the main problem. There are hardware limitations that we need to discuss.
Guy?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Guy. I'm from IBM Storage. Just a quick question. I don't know which SIG, because it sounds like it's a little bit cross-SIG, and I heard about the this PD disaggregation with deployments. I was wondering if stateful sets, I mean, if these make more sense as stateful deployments, basically, because first of all, because we've seen in benchmarking that a lot of times we actually need to check directly to a specific instance and not just randomly, get to one. And also with routing and KV, storage, KV cache storage. There's other use cases where the state is interesting there. So I just wanted to raise it and ask which SIG or how to address this.
My reaction would be KV disaggregation, but I don't know if others have an opinion here. I think we should start there, Guy, and then because this is really kind of cross-SIG, but raising probably like KV disaggregation would be my first reaction.
Yeah, I agree with you, Carl. I think we should start in KV disaggregation. There are parts in PD that are related to KV disaggregation because of PD. Maybe we should discuss it, but I would say that most of the KV related topics, better to at least start with KV disaggregation.
I agree with you.
Sounds good. Thank you. We have to move to SIG updates, so let's park any other topics. Feel free to chime in Slack if you have any other topics we couldn't cover. I'll switch it to SIG updates to do this very briefly. So maybe start with you, Greg, on SIG installation.
Yep, we are working towards this migration of position of multiple Helm charts as our kind of pattern for 0.2. The idea here being, if you want the curated experience of deployer walking you through the install, creating different things, then you stay on 0.1. And we're going to focus more the 0.2 on the composability of different charts. So you'd install the deployer charts as the infrastructure, model service charts. You could do multiple installations of this for different inferencing stacks, and then you could also compose into that the upstream GAIE charts for the actual inference pool and the routing there. Still a work in progress. Looking for any contributors who want to help out here, but hoping to make the release next week.
Great. Thanks, Brad. Inference scheduler, anything, Vito, on Neely?
Yes. Basically, Ita is working on the data layer. I believe that next week it should be completed. This is something that's going to be on upstream GIE. This week, mostly there was done on the VLLM simulator, allowing to read from a configuration file, doing alignment with the parameter names to match exactly the parameters of VLLMs. That was on that part. Also looking at the LoRa affinity score, there is some work in the upstream GIE, and we reviewed it. We need to extend it a bit. Also looking at the load score, we need to make it more fine, so it will be more accurate. So also looking at this area. I think that's basically it. Vita, anything else?
No, I think we have a meeting just after, and there is also a HA document that is going to be published. So we can.
And the disaggregated prefill writing a new North Star, which is more up to date with what we have in our TOS. So this should be published, I think, tomorrow, beginning of next week.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Neely. Tamar?
Yes, auto-scaling. So very quickly, I dumped here again the API design doc, and we're moving forward with the implementation, phase 1, and integration with llm-d. Abhishek, do you want to say anything else more detailed?
Yeah, sure. I hope you can hear me. So we're moving with the phase 1 implementation, which is basically porting over the legacy Inferno design to the community agreed upon design. As far as the implementation state is concerned, there is a new API that is out there as a PR to the dev branch, and as of this morning, we have enabled VLLM emulator to work with our auto-scaling API, and this will help us to do more collaborative development and also testing going forward. So that's it.
Thanks, Tamar, Abhishek. On SIG PD disaggregation, Rob couldn't make it. I don't know if Tara is here. I don't see him, so I'll just mention quickly. You guys been following a lot of the debugging and fixes I've been doing for Nixol and UCX. So we do have those things in place now, and the work is really on the upstream patch to Nixol, getting help from Dynamo folks. So this is in progress. So it's great to plug this. It was a big one. And so we're all happy that we made progress here. And we also now actively doing benchmark with these fixes. So yeah, that's the update here. KV disaggregation, Maroon?
Yeah, so our new North Star document was published. It was mostly reviewed by Clayton. More comments are welcome there. Our PR on VLM native KV events-based indexing is open. The feature works. It's being tested by multiple parties. With that, once that merges, we have support for GPU VLM native indexing without any external dependencies. That also drops the dependency in the llm-d image on external engines such as LM cache. An RFC on KV cache interoperability API was open in VLM. That is also progressing there is important for integrating or standardizing KV events handling and KV cache interoperability, basically, and that stream will further develop proper integration with llm cache and other engines.
Great.
And the CPU offloading is also progressing. Thank you, Nikhil, for the views.
Very good. Thanks, Maroon. And then the last one on benchmarking, Marcio.
So fulfilling a request from the community, we merged a PR that allows the benchmark to be run independently from llm-d deployer. llm-d deployer is still our basic method of deployment. We still firmly believe that's a good way to have it reproducible, but now we can use that with pre-deployed stacks. We don't have to use llm-d deployer. We reworked the code a little bit to make it much better to us as receiving different harnesses. We have at least 3 right now, and thanks to Ashok and Google folks to contribute a bit more workload for inference perf. And the last bullet here just goes back to the original question about we need more testing. We are in particular scenario where we simply cannot find a way to test a specific configuration we want to test. There's an issue there. We can get more detail there.
Great. Thanks, Marcio. We're just on time. And again, just as a reminder, this call is designed to just give folks like a broad view. We go through very quickly, as you guys can see. For folks that are joining first time here, the best way to understand details about each one of this, you can go to the SIG meetings or chime in Slack. But again, the idea is just to give broad visibility. We welcome feedback on how we can also improve this call. And with that, we'll close for today. Thanks a lot, everyone, for the inputs and updates, and I see you guys next week.